Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Joe Knows the 2021 NFL Draft Class. And today we are covering your Green Bay Packers, the famous Green Bay Packers. And with me, I have a very special guest. He is a fellow contributor here at Toilets and Titles, as am I. And his name is Nate. He goes by the Twitter handle Nate underscore Dirt19. He's a huge Packers fan, longtime Packers fan. Nate, good morning. How are you? Thanks for being with me this early in the morning. I appreciate it.
Oh, good morning, Joe. I'm doing well. It's Monday morning. I'm excited to talk some Packers football before I go to work.
Yeah, same here. I'm trying to shake the cobwebs out of my brain and out of my
Yeah,
voice, but it's going to happen. The iced coffee is helping a little bit. But anyway, Nate, am I correct? You're one of the original contributors or members of Toilets to Titles?
yeah. It was Justin and John and I kind of got together and decided to make this thing happen, and it's been a wild ride, that's for sure. So
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. So I've just for everyone to know, like mostly since I came on a few months ago, I've been dealing with Coach Chefs and Justin the most, and
yeah,
so that's what I thought. So you know what? You're not a fellow contributor. You're actually like you're in the C-suite. You're a chief level off. You're a senior
yeah,
executive. So I'm
yeah.
sorry. Forget about contributor. You're a senior executive. All right,
No,
man.
we don't
Not,
act
not,
like that. Come on
Nate likes to play it down, but it's the truth. All right. Hey, we're gonna review the Packers, everyone. Before we do so, before we get to that juicy content, real quick, I'm a huge fan of the NFL. I have a team that I root for. I'm in northeastern New Jersey. I'm a Giants fan myself. I'm a huge fan of the NFL. I love what every team, every fan base, every history of that team brings to our beloved NFL. And the Packers, there's no NFL, there's no great, the history would not be nearly as great without the Green Bay Packers. You can go back to the Lombardi days, obviously, the Lombardi Trophy, Brett Favre, the Aaron Rodgers era over the past like 11, 12 years. The fan base, I love that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Nate, but I think Green Bay is probably the smallest city that has an NFL team, and
I,
I
I would
believe
be
so.
surprised. Tiny.
Yeah, and I think so, and I think that's so cool. It's kind of like it's a city, but it's a smaller one. It's like a smaller community. They've got this football team, and I think it's so cool. And I believe the fans can buy shares in the team as well, and that's unique as well. So you guys are diehard fans. I love seeing, in those December, January games, people out there without their shirts on or in bikinis, and I don't recommend that. I like seeing it as a fan from my warm home, here in New Jersey, and with my heat blasting. I don't recommend anyone do it, but I love seeing it as a fan. It's really cool. You guys are crazy, but I love everything that the team, your history, and the fan base brings to our sport that we love so much. I think it's so cool. And before we get to the draft class, which I really liked reviewing what you guys did, I like what you did from the get-go back at the end of April. Looking at it, I'm like, I thought you did well for what you needed, and I liked it a lot. And reviewing it yesterday, I felt the same way. I'm like, yeah, you guys did well. Let's do this. And before we do that, where can you find the show? And that is in multiple locations. We are all over the place, baby. Okay, you can find us at Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Podbean, and Spotify. We have two pages at Facebook, Toilets to Titles, and When a Family Breaks, which is dedicated to the trading of sports memorabilia. Very cool. Check it out. Also, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It takes a half a second, not even just to click that button, and it helps us out a lot. And please, if you're on Apple, give us that 5-star Apple review. If you're not on Apple, if you got 30 seconds to spare, it helps us a lot if you can give us a nice 5-star Apple review. All these things help our metrics. We really appreciate it. And last but not least, you can go to patreon.com/toilets to titles to find out to learn how you can further support the show. Okay, to the draft class for the Packers. You guys had 9 picks in total, and that included 2 5ths and 2 6ths. And I think you did have a pick in each round. A lot of times when teams have like 9, 10 picks, they're missing like a third or fourth rounder, but not you guys. You guys had a pick in every single round. You had 2 in the 5th and 2 in the 6th as well. I try to see if there's a theme for every team's draft class. Such as like some teams like the Cowboys focused on defense, other teams focused offensive line. It tells you what the teams needed. And what I saw with you guys was that there was definitely a theme on defense in terms of that's where most of your picks went, but also the offensive line too. And as a big time fan of the NFL, I do follow the Packers somewhat, what's going on with them. And you know, I did know that they needed help on defense and the OL. And so I thought you scored well there. But you also got two playmakers. You got a wide receiver and a running back. And I like those guys a lot. I'm looking forward to reviewing them because I thought you got great value for where you got those guys. I like them a lot. And I had my eye on those guys coming into the draft too. So I thought you scored well. But moving on to your number one pick overall, the 29th pick in the first round, Eric Stokes, cornerback out of Georgia. This guy's 6'1", 194 pounds. He's got good size for a cornerback. And this was if you became familiar with a lot of these names, a lot of the college player names, at least leading up to the draft, Eric Stokes is a name that's been out there for a long time as a cornerback in college to keep your eye on. And he came out in what I thought was actually a deep cornerback draft. So you had some excellent players going in the top of the first round, like J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain. I think you had Caleb Farley going number 22 to the Titans. And personally, I think that guy would have won even a lot higher if it weren't for his injury history. You guys got Eric Stokes, who I thought was just like a notch below those guys, but still very much worthy as a cornerback of being drafted in the first round. I like this guy a lot. He's fast and speedy. He can play the outside. Now, he's been mostly an outside corner, but he has the speed and the quickness on the field to play the slot. So this is a guy who, in my opinion, and just to the viewers, with when it comes to cornerback, just be patient. I mean, it's always a hard transition for most players, but for cornerback, it's very, very difficult. It usually takes like a year for them to really show what they can do. And so I'd say give them a little time. But in my opinion, this guy was also, as I say in the blue bar, was also a sprint champion in high school. And I pointed out this guy apparently won many awards in high school as a sprint champion, and that's something that got him noticed apparently by I think the defensive coordinator at Georgia, who encouraged him to become a football player for the Bulldogs. But anyway, I think this guy is a future cornerback one, and I thought you got a guy who's not just a good outside corner, but you got a guy who is going to be versatile for you. So with injuries, someone goes down. If you need him to play this slot, or if you want to mix up your defensive packages, this guy offers you a lot. What was your feeling on him, Nate?
At first I was kind of, didn't really think
Underwhelmed?
much of it. Yeah, well, like
Mhm.
that's what we said earlier. It's just kind of how things go for me as a Appalachian St in the draft. And
Right.
I was the more I looked into it and kind of watched the film and stuff, I was pretty excited. He's been playing with the big boys in the SEC.
Yep.
Extremely
Comes from
fast.
Georgia.
Yeah, he's ready to roll. I think he's been playing with the first team in camp right now with Kevin King being hurt, so he's been playing on
Hmm.
the outside. I think
Yep.
the versatility is going to be huge for us with our new defense. There's not going to be a whole lot of when you think of a base defense, we aren't going to run a whole lot of that. So there's going to be a lot of, five cornerbacks, defensive backs, I should say. And I think he's going to fit in well. And even when Kevin King comes back, I am a Kevin King fan. I know in
Hmm.
the championship game he looked terrible, but I've always been a Kevin King fan. It's hard to find a guy that long and quick. And I think he'll do well staying on the outside. We can have Eric Stokes on the inside, until King moves
Yeah.
on. And then it's just Jair and Eric. And I think those two will be a tandem that will be very tough to deal with in the
Yeah,
NFL.
I think you guys are putting together a nice core of cornerbacks, and I think you're developing a nice secondary back there. I really do. And listen, like you were saying, Nate, it's like today's NFL, the defenses they're showing multiple. It's not you really don't see too many base 3-4, base 4-3 defenses. It's like amoeba type defenses where they're trying to confuse the offense because offenses are so deadly these days, and the rules are today's rules pretty much make it even more effective for them, makes it more difficult for the defense. And this guy, in terms of the depth, the old saying, you can never have enough cornerbacks. This guy, I love the versatility. And he's coming from a program, Georgia, the Bulldogs, who do know, they know how to, I mean, obviously they're always like a top 5, top 7 team, but they especially know how to develop defensive talent. In every single draft class, there's like, I don't know, like 8 defensive linemen from Georgia coming out in the draft in whatever round, all the rounds combined. I thought you got a good guy here. I know what you mean in terms of being underwhelmed, but I think it's kind of underwhelming when you take a guy, where he's kind of slated to go and you're picking in the back end of the first round because you're a good team,
Yeah.
So he was pretty much slated to go and he was a perfect fit for the back end of the first round. And I think he's going to offer you so much. I really do. And I thought that was when you guys got him, I'm like, damn, that's a good solid pick for this
I'm
team.
excited. I'm definitely
Yeah,
excited.
yeah. You should be stoked for Stokes.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm going to trademark that one.
I like it.
All right, moving on to Josh Myers, offensive line. Again, anyone who's you don't have to be a Packer fan. If you're a fan of the NFL, we know that you guys. Hey, I'm a Giants fan, so if you think you need help on the O line, I need help on the O line, man. So you guys got in the second round, 30th pick overall, back into the second round. You got a damn good, solid center, in my opinion. He comes from another big time program, Ohio State, and the guy is 6'5", 310 pounds. I love those types of intangibles on my offensive linemen. I want them to be mean, but I also want them to be big and athletic, of course. Just got to be good. All right, just got to be good. But I like seeing 6'5", 310 pounds. The dude's a center. He's an experienced run blocker, and he makes the calls for the line. You would think that centers do that on every line. Not necessarily. Some of them are just not that very good at actually. And he's actually an experienced. He actually makes the calls for the line. He's very experienced at it. So this guy was very well educated in football at Ohio State. And I would say that just my own personal opinion, and this isn't based on like, it's not like I've seen like, oodles and oodles and oodles of YouTube film on this guy. All right. I've seen, a little bit, but mostly I've just read a lot of different reports. And it's been the same consistent report on this guy from what I see. And that he's not going to wind up being exceptional. Like, I don't think you're going to wind up getting a Pro Bowler here. Who knows? Maybe one year he'll make the Pro Bowler. You don't have to. You need especially with a second round pick, you need solid and steady, and that's exactly how this guy's always been. And well, he was very good in college, but projecting into NFL, it looks like he's going to be solid and steady, and just that's what you need. And I think that's what you got here. What do you
Yeah,
think, Nate?
without a doubt. I've always thought, with offensive linemen, when you get, you kind of never know what you're going to get. You get some guys from Alabama that look good, maybe not turn out as well in the NFL. But in my opinion, Wisconsin, Ohio State, even Northwestern, actually Sean Slater, obviously, but those schools, like, you get an offensive lineman there, ready to roll. And
Notre Dame, Iowa, yep, the schools up north.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, and I've talked to a lot of people about this. I think Josh Myers could start day one, to be honest with you. I don't think he will, but he could. And
I think so too.
He's ready to go. I think he'll fit in well with those guys. There's a pretty big big opening at center for us this year. I could talk about that for hours just because the different guys that got to shuffle around in there. But I'm very excited. Just like I said, Josh Myers, I thought was one of our best picks in the draft. To be honest with you, I thought it was awesome that he was there. It worked out well.
We could have used him on my team in the second round. And don't get me wrong, I'm happy with who we got in Azeez Ojulari, but we needed offensive line help badly too. And I like this guy a lot too. And when I say that, I don't think he's going to be like a Pro Bowl or maybe he'll make it 1 year. I don't mean that as too much of a downplay.
No.
But I really believe in this guy. Like, I think he's going to be a good, steady player. One of those players professionally roll out there. You're not even going to hear his name. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Yeah. He's not going to be getting beaten. I think he's going to be a steady player for you guys. I liked it a lot too. And, you got the, offensive line isn't sexy, but it's absolutely necessary. You know what? You got one of your unsexy picks out of the way early. So, but it was a needed spot, man. Okay, but your next pick, the third round pick. Let's talk sexy over here. All right, this has got some. He's flashing a little leg. I like this guy a lot. Amari Rodgers, wide receiver, Clemson. You got him the 22nd pick in the third round. He's 5'9". I don't care about height so much. I mean, you want your wide receivers to be tall. That's ideal. They're not all tall, but this guy's 212 pounds. He's solid. He's a solid dude. He's not going to be blown over. He's not going to be blown over by the wind. Amari Rodgers. He played in a top program with Clemson, with arguably the best quarterback to come out of the draft since Andrew Luck. So like a generational quarterback. This guy put up big time numbers. In 2020, he was Trevor Lawrence's top wide receiver. He had 77 receptions, 1,020 yards. He was averaging 13.3 yard per reception. He had 7 TD receptions. He's a slot receiver, but this guy takes off suddenly. He's quick on the field. He is a fast guy, but he also uses his speed, his explosiveness, gets the ball and takes off immediately. And he uses that explosiveness from the slot to take the top off of the defense. He's really impressive to watch. And I could see Green Bay, first of all, you have a legendary quarterback Yeah, 2 in a row. But you have right now, you currently have Aaron Rodgers. Before that, you had Brett Favre. That's what I mean by 2 in a row. I could see Aaron Rodgers and Amari Rodgers, Rodgers and the Rodgers to Rodgers connection. We have to come up with some sort of slogan there, Nate.
I'll take one.
Rodgers squared or something like that. But anyway, I can see these guys like, easy dump off pass, and then Rodgers just taking off like a maniac down the field, and he's going to offer like so much safety, in terms of like, instead of Rodgers, Rodgers looking down the field, guys aren't open. There's Rodgers, bloop, short little pass, whammo. He's taken off, he's blown the top off the defense, and the guy is an experienced punt returner too. So in the third round, you got a darn good slot a guy who can blow the top off the defense from the slot, and he's a punt returner too. I thought this was a great pick, third round. This is a deep, possibly the deepest wide receiver core class I've ever seen. You got this guy in the third round. I think normally this guy would have been a second round pick. You guys scored him in the third. I thought he did great. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I think it's good. Haven't had a big time slot guy for quite a while. He's quick. He's real quick in and out of his breaks. He's just like I said, just from the get-go, he's ready to roll. Yeah, it's fun to watch him. He's almost like a little running back almost. And I know they've talked about some jet sweep stuff with him, some gadget plays, which every NFL team wants to talk gadget plays. I could whatever. But I'm excited for him.
They're fun when they work.
Yeah. We haven't had a real punt returner, that I remember, that, obviously there's always some guy out there trying, but, I think starting out, that's where he's going to be. I'm excited for him. I didn't know him and Randall Cobb have a pretty big connection. So it's nice that Cobb's back in town, not necessarily
that is cool.
I think, that Cobb's going to be some top 5 receiver in the league because he's not. But, I guess when Randall Cobb was in college, Amari Rodgers' dad was his coach, one of his coaches at Memphis there, and so
that's cool.
So he's kind of looked up to him for a long time. And I think it's going to turn out well, and it will help Amari down the road. Learn from a guy like Cobb. So I think it'll be good.
You know what? Hey, listen, I'm glad Cobb is back because I associate Cobb with the Packers, and that's just it just goes. It's like you hate to see some players going. And again, I'm not a Packers fan, but you just associate the name with the team, and it just seems right. It's like, hey, welcome back home, buddy.
Happy he's home.
Yeah, too. I agree. I am too. It just sounds right. But yeah, I thought this was cool. Listen, to the viewers out there, I don't know what Amari Rodgers is going to bring this year, outside of probably being the punt returner. Maybe he will. Maybe just even over the course of the year, he'll develop into like a starting slot. I'm not sure, but if not, just be patient. This guy's going to deliver, in my opinion, big time by next year. I love the pick, third round. I was like, damn. And it's like I said, in my opinion, this class is so deep for wide receivers that in a normal class, he probably would have been like a back end second round instead of a middle of the third round pick. I thought this guy had a lot of value, and I don't care about the height. The guy's a player, and he's a solid build. He's not, like I said, he's not a weight. He's not blown over in the wind. So, and he's not easy to bring down either. I like this type of guys. Okay, moving on. Your fourth round pick, back into the fourth round, 37th pick overall. ROYCE NEWMAN. Here we're going. Double dipping in the O-line, Nate. I love it. Be physical. You guys are up north. You got to be physical. You're like, you got a beard. You're playing the part, man. I love it. So you're a guard from Ole Miss. You got with ROYCE NEWMAN. I like this guy a lot. And again, this was actually wide receivers were all over the place in this class, but this is a good offensive line class as well. And so there are guys here like in the fourth round who I think normally would have been like, in Newman's case, would have been like more like a third round pick. And this is a guy who 6'5", 310 pounds. There's my dog. Sorry. Hey, we're not going to stop recording. Hey, Melvin, give me 1 second. He hates the sanitation workers. He thinks they're garbage burglars taking our garbage.
Taking his stuff.
Yeah. Hey, stop it. Here we go. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, rolling real quick. Okay, so he's got his arms are pretty good for a guard. Over 33 inches. He played mostly guard at Ole Miss, but was also right tackle in 2020, and apparently played well. And so here you've got a guy who he's probably going to wind up, if not this year, next year, competing for starting guard position. But you know what? He gives you versatility too, where here he played right tackle in Ole Miss. Listen, they're not Clemson, they're not Alabama. but they are a big time program, and they they're like the not in the notch below, if you will, and sometimes they're like sometimes they're like a top 10 program too. But anyway, so this guy is going to give you, he offers you versatility, probably a guard, but you know what? If you need, a backup at right tackle, that's what this guy gives you. And you're getting into those rounds, those mid-round picks where this is where you're really looking for that type of value. I liked it a lot. Royce Newman, again, another guy my team could have used. You got him. You really needed to help your OL, your OL, and I think you did it. I like the pick a lot, and I thought fourth round. I thought this is really nice value that he got for this player, and I think he's probably going to wind up starting, and at worst, he'll be giving you some valuable depth. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, he's gonna definitely. I think he'll start. I don't know, like I said, maybe year one, but probably year two. Could be a swing tackle for us. My opinion, right tackle is a huge hole for us.
Right.
I'm not a Billy Turner guy, and I won't ever be. I think so. It's great that he can do both. He's a road grader. He's a monster, and I think run blocking he does very well. And he'll be, obviously he can pass block well too. But I was excited for it. It's fun to see. It's one thing that they have been drafting very well is the offensive line. I could wax poetic about Elgton Jenkins till however long you wanted to talk about him. He's probably my favorite player on the Packers, to be honest with you.
I didn't know. Awesome.
Oh yeah, and he's a guy that can play. He can play center, guard, tackle, whatever. I don't know if Royce Newman can play center, but if he can play guard and tackle, he's got a home in Green Bay. That's for sure.
Awesome.
And I think he's going to do very well.
I think, listen, I love road graders. I like guys who can just, push the defensive line back for your running game. You guys obviously have a very good running back core, which you've added to at the end of this draft, where we're going to get to with one of my favorite picks. I think the guy is going to be really good. But I like Royce Newman too. Moving on, I'm using my vacuum cleaner here to block my dog because he's being insistent on getting my attention. Anyway, so TEDARRELL SLATON, and actually this was a player I was not familiar with before the draft, so I definitely had to do some reading up on him before this episode. Defensive tackle out of Florida. You got him with the 29th pick overall in the 5th round. 6'4", 330 pounds. Wow, 330 pounds. This guy can also, he's a defensive tackle. He can play nose tackle in both a 3-4 and a 4-3. Gives you versatility. We're talking about how defenses are not stagnant anymore. They show multiple looks. This guy I think gives you nice versatility. As a big man, typical big man, he's mostly a run stuffer, but he actually gets some pressure up the middle. Not that he's got a history of a lot of sacks in the NCAA. You normally don't get that anyway from the interior. Just saying that to the normal everyday viewer who's watching this video. But I think you got in the 5th round, I think you got a big dude who can give you who can basically possibly start for you, or even if he's not starting for you, but offers you good depth on like 1st, 2nd round, trying to clog up the alleys for the run. I thought it was good value. Defensive tackle, like offensive line. Defensive tackle is even less sexier, let's be honest, than the offensive line picks, but they're necessary. And I thought for 5th round, I thought you got a decent pick here, man. I thought it was good value. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, it was a good pick. I think he's pretty quick for how big he is, and like you said, he can kind of play right there in the middle, big run stopper, something we need. We've had some issues with the pass rush, and in my opinion, right now, you need 4 guys that can get to the quarterback. That's what you need, and hopefully this is a guy that can help us with that. I think as time will go on, I think we'll see something, that he'll kind of be able to do it all. I hope so. Like I said, I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah, you know what? Even if he's not a starter, again, not everyone's gonna be a starter, but you also need depth, guys. You need good backups, and you need guys who can come in for at least a few snaps, maybe a drive or two, and give your starters a rest. And I think this guy just his intangibles alone, 6'4", 330 pounds. Dude's he can just lie down on the line, really not have to move, man. Holy cow! But I thought for 5th round, I thought it was solid, man. I really did. Okay, moving on. Another 5th round pick, 34th overall in the 5th round. I like this guy. You like him too?
Oh yeah.
You like him? I like this guy going into the draft, and he's SHEMAR Jean-Charles. And if I mispronounce that, sorry. I still have some problems in my head. It's early in the morning. The guy's from Appalachian State. He's 5'10", 184 pounds. He's not a big guy, but this guy can cover. And I like guys like this from smaller schools. you start in the 5th round, you start looking for those guys from the smaller schools that were like the standouts from those conferences. And this guy stood out. This guy gets his hands on the ball. He had 27 passes deflected in 2019 and a shortened 2020 combined. That's good. That's good. And he allowed just a 30.4 completion rate in 20, which I didn't realize until I re-reviewed him yesterday. And so that's also very, very solid. And that's basically, so it's less than one, he was allowing less than 1/3 of the passes coming his way to be completed. He's good at man coverage. Me, myself, I like press coverage. I like man coverage. Whatever. I don't care if your defense is running zone. Just be good at it. That's cool. But this guy's man, he excels at man coverage. That's what I like. And I thought 5th round, I like this guy going in the draft. He's kind of like one of my, those of us who are into the draft, we do our research and we look for those guys from the small schools, guys who we think, oh, they could be a steal in the later rounds. And I liked him a lot. I thought he did really well. Yet again, adding to your secondary. What did you think, Nate?
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. He's a ball hawk. He's quick. He's nasty. He can play. Like I said, I think he can play in the slot if we need him to. He can do it all.
Yeah.
And I think App State's had quite a few guys that turned out pretty well in the NFL. He's going to be fun to watch. I think special teams probably quite a bit this year. But I think he's going to get a run. I think they're all going to get a run, to be honest with you. I think there's going to be so many, 5, 6 DB sets on the field that they're going to have to give a guy a rest, so you're going to be able to play it all. And I think he can do that.
I agree. And you're actually seeing more and more 5 and 6 men sets in secondaries on defenses across the league because it's necessary. I think this guy's going to be a starter down the road. Maybe in the slot. Yeah, probably. I'm just in the slot. He's a shorter guy, but I think, or maybe they'll move him around. We'll see. But I think this guy offers you so much, and I'm really interested. Packers fans, other NFL fans, keep an eye on this guy. Over the next 2 or 3 years, watch how he develops. Just keep an eye on this guy. And okay, we're going to try to get through the last 3. I know you have to get to work. Let's get through these real quickly. Another guard. You're triple dipping. You didn't just double dip. You triple dip. Cole Van Lanen, guard out of Wisconsin. What were you and I saying before, Nate? We love offensive linemen from up north. Guys. Wisconsin, Iowa, Notre Dame. Heck, I love that. And Michigan and this guy's from Wisconsin. Automatically, when I see guys like offensive linemen from Wisconsin, Notre Dame, Iowa, for me, it's like getting a wide receiver, even in the 5th round from LSU. You're like, oh, potential. It's like, oh, like like this guy's. This is like he's coming from like a graduate program for football at Wisconsin on the offensive line. Okay, so 30th pick, 6th round, 6'4", 305 pounds. Certainly not big. This guy, but at Wisconsin, he played left tackle the last 2 seasons for Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a major program. That's impressive. He's one of those tackles like most tackles coming out of college. They really project better at guard in the NFL. But his strength seems to be pass protection. But I like that. This is a guy who's okay. So he's going to play guard, but he's got that. He's played tackle in college. He gives you that versatility. And so even if he didn't wind up actually starting down the road, everyone needs a swing tackle. Everyone needs depth at guard. You need those guys who can come in. We all get injuries. You have to line up 5 guys. Those guys are going to get injured. You need someone who can come in for, a few games, if not, half a season or more, and at least to the point where you don't get burned. Okay, where you're not getting burned, where Rodgers is getting creamed. So I think this guy offers you a chance at good depth. What do you think, Nate?
Without a doubt, it's another guy we can play all over the offensive line.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I love offensive line play. It's going to be fun to see what's going to happen in the next year for sure. I think.
Yeah, Nate likes the hog mollies. Yeah. Hey, you give yourself. I actually, there's a bunch of YouTube content creators that I follow, especially for the Giants, they love offensive line guys. They love the hog mollies. But in this draft, you guys gave yourself good depth and you got guys who've got a chance to start down the road, but if not, seriously, you gave yourself at least some good depth here, a lot of potential. So moving on to your next 6th round pick, 36 overall, Isaiah McDuffie, linebacker out of Boston College. This again was another guy I was not familiar with before I started reviewing for this episode, but I liked what I read on this guy a lot. He's 6'1", 227 pounds. That's small. It's not big for a linebacker, and it's not puny, but it's certainly not big. The guy had 107 tackles in 2020, and just these things that I read on him, and which I have in the notes in the blue bar. The guy is like consistently. He's got high energy, nonstop. I love that. Apparently, he's a hard worker on and off the field. So this is a guy who shows up early, is like one of the last ones to leave, is putting in film study. He takes his craft very seriously. Apparently, he's very, very tough. And he recognizes, apparently, his real strength is that he's very good at recognizing formations and getting to a hole real quick. So he's very, very decisive. So, hey, 6th-round pick. I like how this guy reads a lot. What do you think, Nate?
Yeah, I was same with you kind of when they said his name. I was kind of looking around. Friend of
6th
mine.
round.
Yeah, a friend of mine who's been on the show quite a bit, Kyle Bellafiel. He's a big defensive guy. We talk all the time, and he was very excited for McDuffie. He'd actually just wrote a piece about him right before the draft.
Really?
So it was pretty
That's
exciting
cool.
That he came with
That
Packers.
is.
And he's a real high motor guy. He knows good football IQ, I think. And
Yeah.
he's hurt right now, which kind of stinks. Because I'd like to see how he's doing in training camp, but I think it's not long term or anything. We have some questions at linebacker. And, I said I think he's going to get a little bit of a run this year.
Yeah. I thought he read well. At first I was like, oh, Isaiah McDuffie. And I'm like, I'd never heard of him. And of course, I don't know all these players.
No, you can't.
And yeah, exactly. And I was like, man, I like how this guy reads. I like his, the work ethic, the high energy. He's basically a decisive runner when he sees when the ball is snapped. He reads the formations, he reads the run, and he gets to that hole real quick. So, you know what? You can't ask for more, and this is a 6th-round pick. So God bless you. I thought he read real well for a 6th-round pick. I like him a lot.
Me too.
You know what? I like Boston College products too. I do. I think they tend to be. I think they tend to be smart players, smart and tough. So last pick. Let's get through him. KYLIN Hill. This is one of my favorites. Did you like him, Nate?
I'm very excited. Yeah, I didn't know. I can believe you fell so far, to be honest with you. When they said the name,
that's the first thing I was going to say. I'm like, when I was reviewing this last night, I'm like, how the hell did KYLIN Hill, I had forgotten who he went to and what slot he went. I'm like, how the hell did this guy fall in the 7th round? This guy, I had my eye on this guy coming into the draft, and especially for my Giants, we need running back depth as well. And I'm like, oh, maybe we can get KYLIN Hill like in the 5th round. Maybe 4th round even too. I think this guy's got, possible. And I'm not trying to exaggerate here. I think this guy could, not that you guys have a lot of depth at running back, but I think on a lot of teams, this guy could wind up being potentially a starting running back, 3-down running back on the team, or at least, a 1st and 2nd down running back. He's 5'10". I don't think that's, first of all, I don't care about height too much with a running back. I don't think it's too small. He's 214 pounds. The dude is solid. He had 1,340 yards, as I say in the blue bar, in 2019 with 10 touchdowns. He was averaging at around 6 yards per carry at Mississippi State, and he's got some receiving skills too. Like, it's not necessarily like it's a proven strength of his. It's not like he was catching the ball for 500 yards per season, but he did do it. Some running backs, a lot of running backs never even do that. So he had some receiving skills. This guy's a powerful and violent runner, and he had 0 fumbles in college. He hasn't fumbled the ball, which I didn't know until I read it last night. He hasn't fumbled the ball since sophomore year of high school. Holy cow! Knock on wood. Yeah, seriously, knock on wood. Wow. Now he'll be like known for fumbleitis in the NFL. But man, the 7th round, I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing in the back end of the 7th round? Nate, what do you think? I love this guy. I did.
Yeah, I think
in terms of value.
Yeah, without a doubt, great value. He was a good football player in college. Obviously sat out last year, played a couple games or whatever. And the receiving skills, I think they're there. And I think a lot of players that like you said, they don't even get the work in college as a receiving back. And so it's kind of when you get to the NFL, well, he can't do that. Well, you don't know that. And he definitely can, and they said he is a violent runner. He's pretty powerful for his size. Last year we had 3 guys on the field quite a bit at the end of the year with Jamal Williams, A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. And I think KYLIN Hill just slides right in there, to be honest with you. And I think obviously Dillon and Jones are going to get the bulk of the work, but I wouldn't be surprised if KYLIN Hill can kind of take things over. I don't see Aaron Jones being here long term. He's a running back. Probably 2 years and he's gone. And I think Hill will be ready to roll.
Yeah, not many running backs see. I mean, you have an exceptional, running back. But not many see his second contract, especially with the team that drafted them. But KYLIN Hill, damn, I was like, this guy could absolutely be a starter for you down the road. Seeing how things develop with your running backs at free agency, and not even just for the 7th round. He was good value, and I never thought leading up to the draft I was seeing him projected to go around the 6th round or 7th round. I never understood that. Let's keep an eye on this guy. I think this guy is really interesting to watch, along with SHEMAR Jean-Charles.
Oh, yeah.
And you have some guys who are really nice to keep an eye on, see how they develop. But anyway, we've made it through the entire draft class. I know, Nate, you got to skedaddle for work. Real quick, everyone, there's like 12 of us here, Toilets and Titles. Here's the Twitter handles for us. Follow them all. They're a great bunch of guys. I'm so happy and lucky to be working with all these people. We're all working hard to bring you great content. They all deserve a follow. And don't forget, if you can, hit that like button. Since you're already watching the video, it takes a half a second. That would help us out a lot. And if you're on Apple, give us that 5-star Apple review. Everyone, thank you so much. Nate, thanks for being here. I like your Packers class. Let's keep it going strong, buddy. And I like what you did with the offensive line. And I like those weapons that you got. I really did. I think for the 2 picks that you spent on weapons, I thought you really made it count. I think the potential is awesome for those guys.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's going to be good fun to watch in the future.
It is. All right, man. Hey, we're out here until tomorrow, everyone, when I'll be back with another video. Peace. Have a great day. Love you all. Take care, Nate. Have a great day, my friend.
You too.